Okay, thank you so much for coming on today, Shawn. How are you doing today?
Johnny, it's a pleasure, privilege to be with you. I am doing great. How?
I'm doing good, thank you. And Shawn, how long you have been doing this? Because I saw a lot of books that you have on. How long you've been doing motivational speaking or international speaking and off writer?
I changed direction in my world after being an entrepreneur my whole life in around 2007, and it was at that point that I had financial security to get me to the finish line for the rest of my life. And so I thought, what is it that I want to do for the second half of my life? And it was at that point that I said, my truest passion, my deepest purpose is to help inspire other people to live a more full, rich, and amazing life. So, that's what I do now: speak, write, and do my best to inspire people like you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, and before we go deep into the interview, I would like you to introduce to yourself to the audience, please.
My name is Shawn Anderson. I am the founder of Extra Mile America, and this year on November 1st, Extra Mile Day will be declared by over 550 cities across America. It's that special day where mayors recognize the value and contribution of the extra mile heroes in their community who are doing things to make their life better. I've written 7 books. I am known for going the extra mile, not only with things like Extra Mile Day, but I've also walked across 6 countries in the last 4 years. Everything about my life is about going the extra mile, because when we truly want to create ultimate value in our world, that's how we do it.
Yes, thank you so much for you know, I learned to how to we were having trouble communicating earlier because I want to point this out because I was when I was going through school I was because two of my mission in life is to be able to impact the special education because I was a special ed. Two is to be able to change the way that I don't know if you heard it, but since you said the extra mile, I think I don't know if you heard Think and Grow Rich. People in the law of attraction, I want to change their way of thinking a little bit. So when you, can you tell me a bit about because I kind of negotiated a little bit with you a little bit, but you said you're willing to do a great interview because um, uh, yeah, can you tell me why you couldn't do the audio interview for so I can learn from it, so I can like help other authors to be able to pinpoint and to promote their products and service?
Well, certainly we just choose to do an audio interview so that the video image is something that we really can control on this end, and audio is just something where we're more prepared, where we don't have to go into the studio. We can do more audio interviews more frequently without having to be in a setting where the video is much more important to do.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yes. So can you go in depth? Like you said, you want to motivate people like me, of course. Can you go in Can you go in depth about it? What you mean by that?
Well, it's really, Johnny, every one of us have these passions in our life, these things that we want to do, these dreams, these beliefs that we would like our lives to become. And oftentimes what stops us, what blocks us, are these voices around us that say, Johnny, you can't do that. And that then turns into voices inside our own head that said, you know what, I can't do that. I want to be the guy that says, you know what, Johnny, that sounds like an amazing goal. Let's see about you doing it. Let's create a plan to get you to where you want to go. Life needs more cheerleaders. Life needs more people that believe in us. Life needs more people that will clap and say, come on, you can climb that mountain. You can do for it. You can go for it. You don't have to just collapse and fall down and go back to the bottom. So I just want to be that guy. Johnny, life is super short. And, when we realize how short it is, it gives us a personal power to not let fear block us from doing what we want to do.
Wow, where's this mindset come from?
Well, you mentioned something earlier. You mentioned the book Think and Grow Rich. I mean, ever since I was, a young guy, I realized that that our personal power comes from what we think. And what we think is 100% up to us. And it's when we fill our mind with positive, can-do stuff, like the book Think and Grow Rich, like the book, Og Mandino's The Greatest Miracle in the World, like the book A Better Life, an inspiring story about starting over by Shawn. It's when we fill our minds with can-do positive stuff that our feelings start to change, where we start to believe that we can do it. And when our thoughts change and our feelings change, then our actions change. And then when our actions change, Johnny, our world changes.
That's incredible. Well, the way that you talk, I can tell, like, it really, like, inspired me. Like, wow. And I've come to realize you are also a very good person, good understanding of people. Are you too?
Rephrase your question. I don't quite understand it. Say it again, please.
I come to understand that you're really good with people. That's what I meant.
Oh, fiddlesticks! It's not for something for me to judge or really comment on. I'll let other people do that. But I'll tell you what, I am good at. I am good at believing in the power of the human spirit. I am good at believing in people's dreams, because I believe that when we have dreams, they've been put there for a reason. They've been put there for a reason, and that's why I want to be a person that helps others believe in that dream. So that's what I'm good at, man. I'm good at believing in people.
And I also want to talk about the educational system in America. What do you think about it? Because I think that there's a lot of things that can be improved. Because and also since let's talk about the because I usually bring expert on here and to talk about the real life stuff that we have to deal with, right? The educational system doesn't provide the thing that you truly need. What do you think about that? Like relationship skills, social skills, or learning about taxes or anything like that. What do you think?
Well, certainly that's a good point. And although I'm not an expert, certainly in education, and there are hundreds and thousands of people who are, I do believe that the greatest tool that the education system could teach people is simply is simply that confidence to believe in oneself, and that and not to ever give up. I mean, if we taught people not to give up on what they wanted to do, I think everybody's lives would be far improved. And so that simple quality right there, just that super confidence in that every time that you go for a goal, you're not going to get it the first time or the second time or maybe the 10th time. My very first book that I had published, I had 83 rejection letters. Now, at any one of those rejection letters, if it had stopped me and blocked me, I would never be leading and living the life that I live now. So, if I had to teach kids in America one simple lesson, it's never stop going the extra mile, never stop believing in yourself. And from there, everything will grow.
Wow, you give me goosebumps, man. Shawn, you give me goosebumps. Whew. Yeah, I have also have many rejection while going through the interviewing process because it's one of my dreams, and I got many rejection. At first, I didn't know how to approach them, so it's trials and error. And then I learned to be able to say, you know what, it's my dreams, and nobody's gonna stop me from doing my dreams, right? So, how do you alone deal with rejection? Like, how did you felt when you got rejected by 83?
Johnny, I got rejected yesterday. I was trying to get my book into this one particular book marketing campaign, and they had chosen another book over mine. I get rejected every single week when I put out my Inspiration Thursday newsletter, and somebody unsubscribes. I get rejected all the time if I'm putting myself out there to be a keynote speaker at an event, and they choose to pick somebody else. Just because I am who I am doesn't mean that I don't feel rejection every single second, every single day. I'm a human being. I feel this rejection, but what makes, I think, people who achieve their dreams and goals a little bit different is they can feed off that rejection. It's very simple to say that every time you get a no, you're one step closer to getting yes. Well, see, I believe things like that. I believe that success is a numbers game. I believe that if I put out 25, I might get 24 rejections, but it's that one out of the 25 that I will get that will change my life. That's how I look at it. You know what? Not everyone's going to like us, man. Not everyone's going to love us. Not everyone's going to be inspired by me. Some people will say, man, I don't want to listen to that guy. I don't believe a single thing he said. I'm not trying to communicate to him. I'm trying to communicate to the people who are open about wanting to change their lives, and they realize that the person who can most change their life is the person that they look at every single day in the mirror.
Wow. That's very powerful. You're very inspirational. um, uh, the one thing, wait, okay, let me see. I'm trying to think of, because basically the way that I do interview, as you can see, I don't usually, I want it to be able to free flow. I just want to be able to connect with the person who I'm talking with. I know that because I have many rejection and I never told anybody this. The reason why I changed the way that I do interview because I did a lot of research on like best-selling authors and stuff like that. And so they reject me. I was like, you know what? I did all this work for you to do research so I can do interview with you. I'm going to change it a little bit to make it a little bit better. Um, and so they reject me, they block me, but that's okay. Then I change it to be able to make it a conversation instead of like trying to find answers and all like that. And I wanted to be able to talk through a lot of things that are important to life.
Well, you know, I appreciate that. I think organic conversations are what will relate to people the best. You know, we can sit here and we could go through 10 program questions that I've had to recite 100 times, and neither you're going to feel my best passion nor get my best answers. You know, life is real, pain is real, fear is real. And, you know, if we don't really acknowledge those things, how can people's life ever change? So, you know, if nobody else gets moved or inspired by this conversation, let's just hope that two people do. Let's hope the man that's named Johnny and the man that's named Shawn, because oftentimes in life, you know, that's the best we can do is we go out and we try to inspire each other so that we can get bigger, we can get better, and we can do what we want to do so other people's lives can benefit.
I like that. Where does this passion to help people come from? Like because every time I interview people, they all have a passion to help people. What makes you want to help people?
Well, maybe if it sounds like if a lot of people are sharing that passion, maybe it's not uncommon. Maybe it's a part of the human condition. Maybe it's something that's really built into our DNA to want to serve, to help, to volunteer, to make other people's lives better. So maybe it's just really a part of all of us, and maybe it just takes people like you and people like me to remind people to get out there every day and to make a difference and to add value to somebody else's life.
What because there are moments that are really hard for me. I often fell down oftentimes. As in like fall down and it's not easy. Life knocks you down and you don't like what can you do about it? What how can you like move forward if things doesn't go your way?
Well, you can choose to stay on the ground if you want to. You can just choose to put up a big sign that says, I quit. You could do that if you want to. But you know what? Does your life ever improve or get better if you just stay down there? So, you know, all we can do, Johnny, when we're having one of those really bad days is to acknowledge it, to have that deep self-awareness that say, you know what, today things aren't going so well. And you know what? Let's see if I can change the mojo. Let's see if I can change the momentum and get at least one good thing to come from today. Because every day I like to go to sleep at night just thinking of that one good thing that happened that inched me forward to a goal that I want. You know, if I received a lot of rejections in a day, I just realized again that it's a numbers game. Let's keep going. Don't give up, because nobody could ever force me to quit in life except me. Everybody can whisper, quit, 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 quit. But just, I'm the one that makes that final decision. You're the one that makes the final decision for you. It's a matter of how much do we want to settle with. Frankly, Johnny, I don't want to settle with ever being the second best version of me. I don't want to live in the second best version of Shawn Anderson. I don't want to live always looking at the shadow walking in front of me and saying, wow, that's my best dude right there. That's me. I should be up there. Man, I want to be that. I want my shadow to follow me.
Ooh, that's incredible, Shawn.
Johnny.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but then I lost. But what incredible gift that you have offered to the world. That's incredible. The way that you talk, it really moves. Like you're right. We're the one who if we decide to get knocked down or not. Um, do
Hey,
you?
let's talk, Johnny. Let's talk about the gift that you have for the world. I'll tell you what. I see. I've only known you for a short period of time, the length of this interview and the couple of communications that we have. But you have a gift. You have the gift of courage. You have the gift of courage in being able to overcome all the obstacles that took place to run this podcast. You have the gift of vision, being a visionary. You had this seed that was planted in you, and you didn't let that vision drown, but you gave that vision wings to fly. You're the one that chose to go ahead and do a podcast, to reach out and contact people. Man, you're the one with some gifts. You've got vision, you've got courage. And see, that's why we need to remind people we all have these gifts, and let's just not let them drown. But let's see what we can do to give everybody at least one wing so they feel they can get up off the ground and fly.
That is right. That is right. Yeah, we're gonna fly. Yeah, that's because we've been conditioned to believe that things aren't possible. Uh, but sometimes you feel like sometimes people, maybe in some one life they feel like people are against them and get us instead of for them. So how can you deal with that?
Oh man, I guarantee you, every single day there's people that are against us because sometimes people get so unhappy about their own lives that they only can prop themselves up by pushing someone else down. We just got to realize that's going to be a part of life. We walk and live among the what I call the living dead, that are just walking around with not pursuing their own dreams or not pursuing their own passions, but instead they're trying to drown out everybody else's. Those people will exist. That's why it's up to us. It's up to us personally to keep our own glass as full as we can with powerful, positive thinking and emotion. And the only way we can do that is to continue to be responsible and hold ourselves accountable for what goes into our head. It's that brain, it's that computer that sits on top of our shoulders, that computer that just sits up there that controls everything that we think in life. And everything we think is then given a feeling. If you're thinking like, wow, that rejection really hurt. Well, all of a sudden that thought's going to turn into, God, I feel terrible. I don't think I'm very good at this. I should quit. And then that feeling turns into, I'm not doing it anymore. But if we can go back up into that computer, and if we can reprogram it and say something like this, okay, I didn't get what I wanted this time, but man, I'm not going to be held back because this is what I want to do with my life. So come on, let's change that feeling. Okay, who can we contact now? Who's the next person that we can go for? Let's go for it. Let's tweak maybe the writing, the approach, whatever, but we change that feeling so then it changes the action so we go at it one more time. Are you with me? Do you get it?
Yes, yes, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
oftentimes I have to change the way that I approach authors and experts. Because I don't like to deal with gatekeepers because they don't truly understand about YouTube. They look at the numbers and it's like forget it. They're looking for reach, but oftentimes I don't go for the gatekeeper anymore. I go to straight to the author. I know I tweet them, I email them, but it doesn't matter.
See, that's a difference with me. I don't care about how big a podcast is. I don't care about how big or small a media outlet is. And I honestly don't care about how big the stage is, because if there's a chance to inspire one other human being, that's what matters. At the end of my life, it's not going to matter how big my checkbook was. I'm going to be thinking about the number of people I inspired. And if there's a chance, big or small, large or little, I'm going to put myself out there and do the best I can if my schedule allows.
Wow, that's incredible. You are truly a visionary. I can tell. You have like this. My God. Wait, are you also into Gary Vee?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
You're
But
not.
that doesn't mean that he's awesome. I just don't know. I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, no, no, oh, no, because I heard you say Gary Vee, or I mean, not Gary Vee, you said self awareness, because he often used that in,
Oh, yeah. Self-awareness is it's just, I think self-awareness is the most powerful gift that we could ever give ourselves, because self-awareness is where we truly start to understand that we are the creators of our own life, that we are the ones that can choose on how we handle rejection. We're the ones that choose how we handle success, and having that self-awareness sometimes when that we're the ones that are creating good or bad, that's something we should all strive for, because the stronger our self-awareness is, the more opportunity we have to be able to tweak our message and what we're doing. Because if we continue to keep pushing the same message out there with no results, nothing's ever going to change. And so we have to have the awareness to be aware of how the world is responding to us.
So change the way that we approach it, right?
Well, yeah, if something's not going right, let's say that I put out 100, let's say, for example, on Extra Mile Day, when we approach cities across the United States, we've got a database of over 1,000 cities, and every year we're in contact with these cities. Well, if our approach in contacting these cities shuts the door and doesn't make the city want to participate, we have to have the awareness that makes us go back and retweak our approach. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, if I just continue to put the same letter, the same call out there when I'm getting that rejection, then how could I ever expect my results to change? So self-awareness comes in how we're communicating, the words that come from our mouth, the emails that we send, the calls that we make. We have to know how others respond to us, and the self-awareness comes in the form of being able to tweak that message so that we create the best results we can. Because there's nobody out there, if somebody wants to open a restaurant and they're getting no customers coming in, and they're wondering, why isn't their advertising working, but yet they're doing the same advertising or the same marketing, eventually they're going to close unless they have the awareness to say, wow, what am I doing that's not working, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, oftentimes you're right. Oftentimes I have to tweak my message for email. And when at first I sent it out, it was, for me, I found out that I don't want to negotiate only for me, because at first I did it for only for me, but then I found out that I had to do it for them too. It needed to be a win-win situation, right? Like, for instance, today, even though I wanted to do a video interview, which I love to see faces, that's just me because I'm introverted anyway. But I mean, extroverted like people, but I'm introverted. But I understood that you wanted to do audio, so I'm okay with that. So that's how I listen to people, right? To tweak it a little bit.
Well,
Just
I think, certainly compromise is always a great thing in life. And we do live in this world where that we can't always get what we want. And we live in this world that if we're going to move it forward, we've got to find a way to help other people win. Zig Ziglar was one of the real motivators that was out there creating and pushing this message of creating win-win situations. If I help someone win, then there's a chance that I might win too. The more people that I help win, the more times I will win too. It's when we add value to other people's life. When we add value to other people's life, that's when value comes back to our life. And if we all took that approach, how can I best serve? How can I best serve, encourage, help, motivate, inspire that other person? Instead of first thinking, what can I get from that other person? If we took that whole different approach, the results of our life would change.
that is so powerful. Thank you so much for that. That's a reminder for us all, because I know that I love Zig Ziglar. Now, for one, for when you okay, so you do the extra mile running, right?
You mean the extra mile walking?
Yeah, walking. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just returned just a couple weeks ago. I just returned from walking across the country of Italy. I walked over 500 miles from Milan to Rome. And as I stated earlier, this was actually the sixth country I've now walked across in the last 4 years. I walked across Spain, Portugal, England, Ireland, 750 miles around Shikoku, Japan, and now Italy. I've also pedaled a bicycle across the United States from one ocean to the other ocean solo by myself 2 times.
What oh, as a is it only for what make you do this? Is it for a health reason for your body, or it's to be able to train the mind that you can and not why you can't? What is it?
Well, it's all of those things. I really use them as what I call axe sharpening events. You know, living in the world, sometimes we can start to get soft. We can get soft in a whole lot of ways. And so I put myself in these axe sharpening moments where I've got to learn to find my best person again. And every time that I return from one of these, I'm sharper in purpose. I'm more passionate in intention. And you know, it's when we learn to really overcome certain challenges and we have that confidence that we can always overcome that challenge, that our life just really becomes much more powerful. You know, and certainly you had mentioned another thing, the health reasons. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm 55 years of age right now, and I believe that I can do things that people 20 years my younger have struggles with, because age really just can be a number. It's just how we look at things. It's how we're training ourselves, how we train our mind, how we train our body, how we train every part of us. You know, nobody, as far as I understand, Father Time is undefeated, and none of us are ever going to beat Father Time, and eventually he's going to catch up with all of us. But I'll tell you what, as long as I'm here, I'm going to give Father Time the very best fight that I can.
Wow, you really want to like fight for what you want and fight for your dream, regardless of what anybody else say. I can feel it. I mean, or I can feel it from you when it comes to. I do like to ask the question: do you travel just to travel, or do you travel because there's a reason for it?
Well, sure, there's a reason for traveling every single time. It's because I live on this amazing blue planet, you know, and I want, before I leave, I want to see as much of it as I can. I've, so yeah, that's my reason. I've been to about 45 plus countries now, and I hope before I take my last breath, I can make it to 45 more. Every time I travel, I have the opportunity to learn from other people. I have the opportunity to just to see so much more besides my own limited world. So I love that. I love meeting new people, seeing new things that I've never done, experiencing new things I've never experienced. You know, the thing I'm most grateful for, Johnny, is that this chance just to be here, this mysterious thing called life. You know, I just want to live it the best I can and give it my very best the whole time. And that means not limiting myself to where I am, not limiting myself to who I know, not limiting myself to what I believe, but just being open to just really experiencing this gift of life to its very fullest.
Wow, you really you're trying to. Are you? Is that how you overcome your fear? Does you have any fear? It sounds like you don't have any fear. You
Oh
have
my
any?
God, I have lots of fear, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to let my fear stop me. I remember I was in Auckland, New Zealand, and in Auckland, first off, heights have always been something that I've never been a big fan of, but I don't want to let my fears control me. Auckland, New Zealand, the very tallest building, uh, there is an opportunity to jump off that building, and I remember that I chose to do that, and it was the end of the day. I was the last person up to the very top of the building in the elevator. When I got to the very top, there was only the two workers that were there that would strap you into your cords and your safety harness and your bungee. And I remember, you know, I'm going, oh my God, I don't even know why I'm up here. This is crazy. I looked over the edge of the building and everything below looked like ants, the cars. I couldn't see the people. I'm going, oh my God, why am I doing this? So they get me all in, and the guys are trying to encourage me as much as I can. And it's almost like a pirate's plank that you walk out on. Picture a pirate when you're walking out on this plank and you've got to drop off in the ocean. That's what I felt like. So I'm all in there and I'm going, okay, you can do this, guy. Come on, you can do this. And I walk out to the edge and my brain says, oh, no, 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 you can't. I turn around super fast. I go, oh my God, I can't do that. The guys there are understanding and they just want to go home because I'm their last jumper of the day. So they said, okay, it's okay. No worries, no worries. And at that point, I knew that if I let that fear stop me, I would be dreading that moment for the rest of my life. So I played a quick trick on my brain. I said, you know what? I might not be able to walk off this forward, but I can walk off it backward. And before I could even think about it, I just started walking the pirate's plank backward. And the next thing I knew, I'm falling 630 feet off the top of a building. So yeah, fear's out there. But I'll tell you what, I have now done that. And I now know what it is to walk to the edge of my fear and find the courage to still jump. Man, that's powerful. That's powerful. So that means every time that I create a goal, every time that I write a plan for that goal at the very top of my list, I now have the confidence that I write this. Number one, I can do this.
Wow. That's a great story, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. Wow. Wow. And for you, oh yeah, for your books, because I also want to do for your books. Um, so which book did you start first, and then also because I like the sound of "Soar to the Top," Unlimited Thinker. So and also, if anyone who want to become a writer, author, and what is your writing process?
Okay, what's the, the writing process is there's a seed that's been planted in you that you feel like you have a message, something you want to share, then that's where the inspiration to actually start writing begins. It's just that you've got something that you want to share, and whether it's read by one person, 10 people, or 100,000 people. Um, I always at the when I choose to decide whether or not I'm going to do something, I always do what I call the rocking chair test, Johnny. And it's at the end of my life, and I'm in a rocking chair, and I'm just rocking back and forth, and I'm thinking about my life, and I'm thinking about all the things that I did and all the things that I wish I might have done. And as I have a challenge or something in my life now, I think about being in the rocking chair, and I ask myself, when I'm in the rocking chair, do I wish that I would have written that book, or do I wish that I would have found something else to do? So when people are choosing, deciding, thinking about whether or not they should go for something or not go for something, I just say, go sit in the rocking chair and think ahead when you don't have too many more days left. What do you wish you would have done then? And I think that's where I've always found my truest answer of whether or not to go for it or not. And I think that's where people will find their truest answer of whether or not to go for it or not.
Yeah, as I was thinking about that when you were talking, I was like, wow, I'm gonna like, cause I wanted to try to sit like, oh, if I want to like that, cause it's the same thing as like doing an interview, right? Oftentimes, if you get many rejection, I was sitting there, if I don't do this, because my dream is to interview like a lot of people, like lots of people, whether they're best-selling author or expert or anyone like that. Because basically, my true purpose is to be able to understand people, why they do the thing they do, and where does compassion, passion come from, whether it's writing a book, whether it's getting their message out there. That's truly a unique gift. Thank you so much for uh, taking that gift with you and sharing with us. And today I'm proud that we did a interview today, and it make me, believe that humanity has a goodness in people have good in them, because so oftentimes we think that people are really bad. Like for instance, the mass shootings that we have in America.
Yeah, but let's not forget of all the people, in that incident that rally around, and all the people that are there to support people. I think it's easy to glamorize all the bad things that happen, but what we fail to see sometimes is all the really beautiful things that happen from the bad. And really that's one reason why I wanted to start Extra Mile Day, because I felt that there were thousands of people that are volunteering in the country and around the world, and they're out there so unselfishly giving their very best, but they're unrecognized. And Extra Mile Day is just a day for local mayors to recognize those people that are going the extra mile in volunteerism and service unselfishly. They're not doing it for themselves, but they're doing it because they've got good in them. And I think the more that we keep promoting good in people, the more that we keep promoting the inspiration that lives in all of us, I think we have a chance to maybe inch people towards their very best person. But what becomes important is just the reminder. It's just the push. And the more that we have the self-awareness to remind ourselves of that push every day, the better life we're going to live.
Thank you so much for that. Do you read, or how do you approach your learning?
Well, certainly I take time to read every day. You know, the two things that have changed my life and inspired my life more than anything are the books that I've read and the people that I've met. You know, I give so much credit to the words on pages that have just inspired my spirit so much, and they've branded themselves on my heart. So I think that people that don't read are doing themselves a major disservice, uh, because it gives us the chance to really think. When we consistently just keep putting the videos or the TV shows or the movies in our head, it really softens us in a way that doesn't allow us to really think and feel as powerfully as I believe that we can. So again, the books that I've read, the people that I've met, those are what have changed my life.
Which books have touched your heart or inside you?
Well, the most powerful author that I've ever read is a guy named Og Mandino, Ogmandino, Og Mandino. And Og Mandino wrote The Greatest Miracle in the World, um, and in that particular book, it taught me that success and motivation books don't have to be written in the form of, these are the 10 things you need to do to be successful. These are the 10 habits of rich people. It doesn't have to be these lists that we become like machines and try to follow. But Og Mandino, he wrote this motivational story, this fictional story, which allowed me to get caught up in the story and at the same time pick and choose which lessons really inspired me. And that was the most powerful motivational book I ever read.
How did you get into personal development? Because I can tell that you're really into like either Les Brown. Well, you probably heard Les Brown because he's really big on
Mm-hmm.
motivational. How did you get into this? Like really huge into personal development.
Well, I understand at a very deep level what it is to not have people believe in you, and and I know what it is when someone does believe in you. And I also know that in order to be my most motivated and inspired human being, I can't look to other people to motivate or inspire me. But it really became like Famous Amos always used to say, happiness is an inside job. Motivation is an inside job. Success is an inside job. Inspiration is an inside job. It's something that we have to do ourselves. Because Johnny, if I didn't work on myself and I just let the world affect me by what happens, by what I read, by what I see, man, things would get depressing, wouldn't they? They would get depressing if you just read, what was going on Fox News or CNN or whatever. It would just be depressing if you read the headlines. It would be depressing if every time one car hanked in anger at another car that you let that soak in. The world is full of reasons to not be inspired. So I just chose to make sure that I kept myself inspired so I could keep on walking the most powerful walk I could.
Wow. Oh crap. This whole interview, I love it. I love it. And one more. What does success look like to you?
Success to me really is it's all about happiness. And what does happiness mean? Happiness is just that place in your own soul where you feel a certain harmony with yourself, that you feel a harmony with your relationships, that you feel a harmony with your career and your job, you feel a harmony with your purpose. And that's the biggest goal that I think all of us really want. If I were speaking in a group right now and I said, what's everyone's number one goal, we could probably melt it down to the fact that I just want to be happy. And sometimes I think when we start chasing external goals, like I need to be rich, I need to be with the most beautiful woman in the world, I need to have the nicest car, I need to live in a mansion, those take away from the true harmony of the human spirit, which is finding that deep peace of joy, of connection to the world. And so for me, success is that I feel harmony. I feel harmony in my life. I feel harmony with my purpose. I feel harmony with what I've done and what I will do.
Yes. Yes. I do agree with that. Because as growing up, uh, as a kid, growing up, we didn't. Uh, our family didn't have much. And so I think that most oftentimes people are consumed by things. So for me, people like, for example, my uncle, he believed that, or my family believe that things are successful, or my mom think that having accumulate things that mean you're successful. But I stopped trying to accumulate things because it does not make people happy. It does not make me happy, right? And it doesn't really a measure for success. I think that success is people own success, not the keeping up with the Joneses, or it's how we, because at the end of the your life, it's not about competition of things. It's not about competition of others, but it's about competition of yourself.
Hmm.
So that's why I think that too many people oftentimes view success as this thing that people see. But because I have to go through a lot of things to see that which one does really make you happy. If the end of your life you accumulate all the things, does that truly is that is that how you feel that that's your worth, or the skills that you developed, that's your worth, or something that you did that you're proud of, that is your worth. That's why. I,
Hmm. Hmm. I've just my own standards of measuring success. I think that the person today that made another human being was successful. I think the person who went out and exercised today when they were not motivated to exercise at all, that person is successful. I think the person today that went the extra mile for another human being and added value to that other person's life, I think that person is successful.
when it comes to exercising, how do you do your exercise? Because I'm curious.
Uh, well, I just, if we don't have our health, everything else in life, it really goes downhill. I mean, think of a day that you have the flu. Well, how productive and successful are you at doing interviews or doing work when you have the flu? When you when you're hurting in any way, I mean, your relationships suffer, your career suffers, everything about your life suffers. So I think that the number one goal that all of us should have in life is something related to protecting and helping us be healthier. And so every day I set time aside. It's my number one goal, is to continue to work on my health, because if I'm not healthy, I can't give back as much as I try to give back. I can't do as much as I want to do. So it's the first thing is just make the time for it. You make the time for health. And health, it's found in different ways. It's certainly found in making sure we get enough sleep. It's found in making sure that we're feeding our body the right energy. It's found in making sure that, our muscles are staying strong and fit. And when we take time to do all those things every day, the rest of our life also shows growth, shows better results.
Yeah, thank you. That's a mind shift that because I was like this morning I didn't want to do like either workout or exercise. I didn't want it, but I did it anyway. So
So
um
if we go back to what I said just a few minutes ago, that's what I call a successful person. You didn't want to, but you did. Okay, now see, this is really interesting. How did you feel about yourself after you finished exercising?
it was great.
Yeah, that's right, right? Because you overcame that, you did that. And when we do exercise, when we when we push our body just a little bit, when we get our heart rate up and we get our lungs pumping, I mean, there's just this natural feeling of feeling stronger, feeling more confident, feeling better. And even though exercise is hard, and I still, after being an avid exerciser for 35 years, still it's hard for me to get out there sometimes. And I have to remind myself, if I do this, this is probably what I'm going to feel. So let's go do it, dude.
Oh man, you're awesome. Well, yeah. What make you say yes to do the interview with me, even though you don't know me? Because I'm just picking. I just want to know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, because you're a kindred spirit, Johnny, man. Anybody that's out there that wants to help change the world and inspire human beings, that's a kindred spirit, and kindred spirits need to support each other. You know, it, the chance to be on your show, to talk to you, to potentially reach some of your audience members, to talk about subjects that I love: inspiration, motivation, performance, results, living life how you want to, man, that's right up my alley. So you're a guy that I consider, a real soulmate, kindred spirit to.
Wow, thank you so much, Sean. That's so awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Oh yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting. Where can we find you on social media or online or offline?
Well, let me just give people one spot so that they can find all my social media and everything on that one spot. It's ShawnAnderson.com. Shawn, SHAWN, Anderson.com. At that point, you can find my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, my LinkedIn feed, all of the social media feeds in the world. ShawnAnderson.com. Also, every Thursday, I put out a weekly newsletter. It's called Inspiration Thursday. The only intent is to do my very best, to dig my very deepest and find something passionate to share with you that might encourage you. Every single Thursday. I think today was my 365th issue, 365 times, and I will continue every Thursday to put something out.
Wow, wow. Do you like persistent?
Do I like persistent?
I mean, because usually, sometimes most without persistent, you want like for me, I believe that without persistent, without any what was it that thing? You won't be able to. For me, I won't be able to reach my goal. Do you like persistent, or it's hard?
Yeah, but I also like forgiveness too. I've learned to forgive myself when I let myself down, because again, I'm a human being. I'm not a machine, and every day I'm going to make mistakes. Every day I'm not going to get done what I wanted to. Every day after I finish writing something that I send out, and I wish that I had done something a little bit different. And so, you know what? If I continue to get stuck on all those little tiny things, then my persistence, will start to fade. But when I take a different approach, you're just doing the very best you can, and you learn from your mistake, you try again. So yeah, forgiveness to me, it's a quality that I want more than persistence.
Out of all the interviews I have done, I have come to realize no matter who they are, whether authors or celebrities or whatever they are, at the end of the day, they are human beings and they have flaws. Because my message for the world is, and I'm gonna keep saying it, because people often think that celebrities or anybody who do amazing things are gods, but there aren't gods. There are people who have flaws, and they have been where you have been, and people often see that doesn't have a flaw.
Yeah, those aren't my kind of people.
I don't.
I will make at least 5 glaring mistakes today alone. And all I can do is keep on trying to improve. None of us were born gods. All of us were born human beings. I don't know the secrets to life. I'm just doing my best to keep on working through those secrets and use myself as a guinea pig every single time. I don't tell people what has never worked for me. I use it on myself. And if it's worked, I say, hey, this is working for me. Why don't you try it for you too? I don't pretend that I know everything, but I do pretend but I do believe that life is an extraordinary gift to all of us, and none of us should be living it in a mediocre way. And if anybody's living in mediocre land, I just want to do my best to try to get them to leave that place.
Hmm. Oh yeah. What do you think about millennials? Because at first I didn't, because it's becoming an issue for me a little bit. I was like, what? Because I'm a millennial, but usually I don't know. As growing up, I never hear this word millennial before, and I start hearing this often enough, and I start to um, hate this word millennial for some reason because it's a quite annoying word. And but the thing is also, I think that people don't understand what sometimes people have to go through, because my when I was growing up, it was really hard. You know, I come from a background that we were poor, and I have to go shopping for my mom when I was a kid, and I have to pick up the food. I have to, like, it's so heavy, and you don't want to do it. You know, I think that nobody understand about why most sometimes there's a reason why millennials don't do what adults want them to do.
I'm not an expert on that subject at all, but I do understand that every decade, people born every single decade, life is a little bit different for them than it was for me. And I think back when I went to college, you know, it really, it doesn't seem like that long ago, although it was. And we typed our papers on something called a typewriter. You might not even know what a typewriter is.
Well,
We didn't even, we
I
didn't
saw
even,
one. I saw one back in
yeah, yeah.
back no
Well,
because okay, so back in the day before we talk about time, I saw a pager. I saw a what was that called? The what was that a freaking what's that disc called? The really big track thingy. It's black, and when you put it in, and it's like it's a recorder or something, or like when a songs come out. We had the tape tape thing before we had CDs.
you mean a record player?
Yeah, yeah, that I saw that the record player.
Yeah, right, right. Well, people had that, and at one time, that was an amazing invention to be able to take a black disc, to put it on this machine, where this needle then touches the black disc, and then songs come out. At one time, that was considered a miracle. That's a miracle. And now you and I have the privilege of each having a computer in front of us, and by the strangest miracle of the world, you and I are able to carry on a conversation. And at that end, you're able to record your words and my words together and play it so other people can hear that conversation. Man, that's a miracle. So every generation, every decade has their own new miracles to live with, to figure out how to live with. And in 10 years from now, everything that we're experiencing and living with will be considered dinosaur-like, because the world is changing. But you know what's not changing? The way that people should still treat each other, the kindness and the gratitude of which we should all live life with. That should never change. And I hope we never get so technologically advanced that we forget that every once in a while a person needs a hug, and every once in a while a person needs, you can do it, Johnny, you can do it.
Yes, yes, once in a while, yes, because oftentimes we.
Like every day.
Love you, man. I love it. Thank you so much for being on today, and I'm grateful for this interview. I'm grateful for you being you. Thank you so much for that. You're so awesome. The way that you just say like that, that's thank you for that. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Subscribe to my channel, like my video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.